Good day, dear students. Welcome back to your virtual biology lesson brought to you by IOTA Virtual Learning. In our last lesson, we looked at properties and functions of living cells. We dived deeply into the concept of nutrition, where we looked at autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition. We discussed in details the process of photosynthesis in green plants and also the different types of heterotrophic nutrition, focusing on holozoic nutrition. However, in this lesson, we are going to look at an important process which converts this food that we have eaten in our different cells into chemical energy. That process is called cellular respiration. The outline of this lesson includes the following: definition of cellular respiration, definition of anaerobic and aerobic respiration, the chemical processes involved in glycolysis and Krebs cycle, the role of ATP in cellular respiration, the differences between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So, at the end of this lesson, you should be able to define cellular respiration, define aerobic respiration, define anaerobic respiration, state the main differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration, outline the basic chemical stages or processes involved in glycolysis and Krebs cycle, and states the function or role of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate, in cellular respiration. Come along with me, let's dive in. Whether you're dancing, walking, studying, or even having a nap, your body is in constant use of energy. Similarly, all our body system and cells are in constant work and they require energy. The question is, where do we derive this energy from? We usually believe that energy is gotten from the food we eat. As a matter of fact, that is partly correct. The food are just the starting point for energy. Energy is derived from two processes: cellular respiration, which follows digestion. These two processes help in deriving energy that is stored in the food we eat. So, what is the definition of cellular respiration? Cellular respiration is a series of metabolic processes that is controlled by various enzymes, through which glucose is broken down to produce chemical energy. It happens in every living cells. So when food is being digested, the glucose enters into each of the cells, and the cells carry out cellular respiration to convert this glucose into chemical energy in form of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. There are two forms or types of cellular respiration. We have the anaerobic respiration and the aerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration is a series of metabolic processes that convert glucose to chemical energy in the absence of oxygen. That is, it does not require oxygen for oxidation of food. This type takes place in the cytoplasm and it results into minimal amount of energy. Aerobic respiration, on the other hand, is a metabolic process that converts glucose to chemical energy in the presence of oxygen. That is, it uses oxygen to convert glucose into energy. This process takes place in the mitochondria of the cell and it results into a large amount of energy. The stages of cellular respiration. Now, the first stage of cellular respiration is actually the anaerobic respiration, which takes place in the cytoplasm. This process is called glycolysis. Glycolysis. It is splitted into two: glyco from glucose and lysis meaning the splitting. So glycolysis is simply the breakdown of glucose in the cytoplasm. The next stage is what we call the Krebs cycle or tricarboxylic acid cycle. It can also be called citric acid cycle. Krebs cycle takes place in the mitochondria. This is why the mitochondria is regarded as the powerhouse of the cell. So it happens in the presence of oxygen. So the Krebs cycle is the aerobic stage of the cellular respiration. Now, let's dive into the chemical processes involved in these two stages of respiration, starting with glycolysis. Glycolysis, as I have said, is the breakdown of glucose in the cytoplasm in the absence of oxygen into a 3-carbon compound called pyruvate or pyruvic acid. In this pathway, one molecule of glucose can yield only 2 molecules of ATPs. This is why I said it only produces a minimal amount of energy. So the process involves glucose being splitted in a 10-step process until it forms pyruvate. So a molecule of glucose form 2 ATPs and 2 pyruvate molecules, making a total of 4 ATPs. Now let's dive into the process of Krebs cycle. Now the Krebs cycle is also known as citric acid cycle. It is the central metabolic pathway occurring in the mitochondria of every living cell. It is a process that plays a very important role in cellular respiration in the breaking down of acetyl coenzyme A, which is derived from the glycolytic pathway. This cycle produces energy in form of ATP and also capture high energy electrons in the carrier molecules. Recall that glycolysis produces pyruvate. This pyruvate does not begin the Krebs cycle immediately. Instead, it enters into the mitochondria and passes through the matrix, where it's mixed or combined with coenzyme A, and also a process of oxidation by addition of hydrogen ion to form acetyl coenzyme A, or what is called acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA enters the citric acid cycle, where it mixes with the citric acid to begin the 8-step Krebs cycle. Acetyl-CoA combines with oxaloacetate to form citrate. This is followed by removal of water and subsequent addition of another to form isocitrate. This is followed by dehydrogenation and decarboxylation to form alpha ketoglutarate. Next, another CO2 is lost and further oxidation by NAD+ takes place with the help of ketoglutarate dehydrogenase to form a compound. This compound combine with coenzyme A to form succinyl-CoA. CoA then is displaced by phosphate group to form succinate. Next step, succinate is then oxidized by FAD to form fumarate. Next, the fumarate is being catalyzed by the enzyme fumarase to form malate. Lastly, one more oxidation by NAD+ takes place with the help of malate dehydrogenase to give oxaloacetate, which restarts the cycle again by combining with coenzyme A. So, for every acetyl CoA that enters the Krebs cycle, it produces 3 molecules of NADH, 1 molecule of FADH2, and 1 molecule of ATP. Multiplying this by the 2 pyruvate produced, we will get 6 molecules of NADH, 2 molecules of FADH2, and 2 molecules of ATP. In a simple summary, Krebs cycle involve acetyl coenzyme A combining with oxaloacetate to form citric acid or citrate, which later forms isocitrate, later forms alpha ketoglutarate, and later succinyl-CoA, which later forms fumarate, then malate, and lastly oxaloacetate, which begins the process again. Let's continue our today's study by looking at excretion in living cells under the following content. Now, by way of introduction, living organisms are able to sustain life through series of metabolic processes. These include digestion, nutrition, photosynthesis, and respiration, which enable them to survive. However, these processes often generate waste products which must be removed from the body. This method of removing of waste products of metabolism is what is called excretion. Therefore, excretion is the removal of waste products of metabolism from living cells. It should, however, not be confused with ejection, which is the removal of solid undigested food as physics. So, why is excretion so important to living cells? Number 1, it is important to avoid or prevent any harm that would be caused by any excretory product. Number 2, some excretory products are poisonous and dangerous to the body and should not be left to remain in the body system. Excretion is also important to maintain water balance in the body and to avoid interference of waste products with normal metabolic activities of the body. Unicellular organisms like amoeba and paramecium have their body with direct contact with their watery environment. This makes it easier for them to get food and also to expel waste products. Also, the permeable nature of their cell membrane makes it very easy for them to be able to remove waste products and take in substances. Another factor that enables easy excretion in unicellular organisms is the large surface area to volume ratio. So their body is so small and they are surrounded with a large volume of water. Therefore, it is easy to expel waste products by simple diffusion. A typical example of excretion in amoeba. We already know in our previous lesson that amoeba feeds by engulfing. Now, when the food is being swallowed into the cytoplasm, the food vacuole releases lytic enzymes which digest this food. The digested food are absorbed into the cells, and the contractile vacuole help to expel the waste product from this food. This expulsion happens through simple diffusion. Now let's look at waste products of metabolism. Now, organisms generate different kinds of waste products from different metabolic processes taking place in their body. For instance, respiration generates carbon dioxide and water vapor, which is being excreted via various excretory outlets. However, there are other very important excretory products, which include ammonia. Ammonia is generated by various aquatic animals like boning fish. Another important one is urea. Urea is generated by mammals, amphibians, shark, and some boning fishes from the hemine group. Next is uric acid, which is an excretory product in birds and many reptiles, also insects and snail. All these are amino acid byproducts and nitrogenous base byproducts. Let's look at a summary of the lesson so far. Living cells need energy to carry out various life processes. This energy is generated from food through a metabolic process called cellular respiration. Anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen, while aerobic respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen. Cellular respiration is divided into two stages: glycolysis, which takes place in the cytoplasm and involves the breakdown of glucose into pyruvate, while Krebs cycle is a process whereby the pyruvate combines with acetyl-CoA and enters where combines of products until it produces oxaloacetate. Glycolysis generates net 2 molecules of ATPs, while the Krebs cycle generates 4 molecules of ATPs. In total, there are 38 molecules of ATPs generated from 1 molecule of glucose after the process of cellular respiration. Both nutrition, followed by digestion and respiration, and also photosynthesis are metabolic processes which produce waste products. These waste products are removed by a process called excretion. In unicellular organisms, their body is small and in direct contact with their watery environment. Also, there is a large volume to area ratio, which makes it very easy for excretion to take place via simple diffusion through their body surface and also through the contractile vacuole. The following are the metabolic waste products in living cells. We have CO2, water, ammonia, urea, and uric acid. Now, as usual, let's make a review by answering our WAEC past questions. First question from WAEC 2019. Anaerobic respiration in the organism illustrated produces carbon dioxide and A. ethanol, B. water, C. oxygen, D. glucose. Look at the options and pick your answer. The correct option is A. ethanol. This is because the organism above is a prokaryote. Prokaryotes lacks mitochondria, so they respire in the absence of oxygen, and acellular respiration produces ethanol and carbon dioxide. Water is produced in the process of aerobic respiration, while oxygen is actually used up in respiration. The next question is a question from WAEC 2018. and it says the process in which glucose is broken down to release energy in the absence of oxygen is known as A. Glycolysis, B. Aerobic respiration, C. Anaerobic respiration, and D. Fermentation. From our answer to the previous question, we already know that the answer is C. Anaerobic respiration. Do not be confused to pick A. Glycolysis as the answer, though it happens in the absence of oxygen. It is just a fraction, a part in the process of respiration. Next question, WAEC 2013. Which of the following occur during glycolysis? A. Oxidative phosphorylation, B. Splitting of glucose, C. Fermentation of water, D. Release of oxygen. Think and pick your answer. The correct option is B. Splitting of glucose. Glycolysis is the breakdown of glucose into a 3-carbon compound called pyruvate. Phosphorylation, which is option A, is wrong because it only plays a step cycle, while fermentation of sugar, which is option C, takes place in anaerobic respiration, and respiration does not release oxygen, which is the option D. In WAEC 2013, which of the following is an excretory product of protein metabolism? A. Oxygen, B. Carbon dioxide, C. Urea, and D. Glucose. Think and pick your answer. The correct option is C. Urea. Urea is a waste product of metabolism of protein, which is called deamination. It is the gas that is being released from the anus. Now, oxygen is wrong because oxygen is not a waste product. Option B, carbon dioxide, is wrong because it is a waste product of respiration. And option D is actually the substrate for respiration and not a waste product. Now, a question from WAEC 1991. The organelle which eliminates water from the body of protozoa is A. Plasma membrane, B. Contractile vacuole, C. Cell wall, and D. Protoplasm. The correct option, option B, contractile vacuole. It is the organelle that carry out excretion, thereby maintaining water balance in protozoa like amoeba and paramecium. Membrane allows material to pass in and out of the cell. This product is formed from the contractile vacuole. Cell wall is only found in plant cell and not in protozoa, while protoplasm works to accommodate other cell organelles. Still in WAEC 1991, excretion in paramecium is by diffusion because its dash A. Its habitat is water and moist places. B. It has simple, small and few internal organs. C. It has large surface area to volume ratio, and D. It has sufficient meganucleus. The correct option is C. It has large surface area to volume ratio. This facilitates easy diffusion in and out of the cell. Option B is wrong because not all aquatic habitats respire or excrete through diffusion. Option B is also wrong because It does not have any internal organs, while option D is also wrong because meganucleus is not for excretion, it is for reproduction. That's all I have for you in this lesson. Thank you for watching and paying right attention. Till we meet again in the next lesson, keep on reading your book and practicing your past WAEC question. I wish you all success in your examination. I remain your virtual tutor, Mr. Kehinde Adesina.